Hello everyone. Thank you for being here today. I'm excited to share a heartwarming story with you titled Fluffy Blanket Kingdom. If you enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. Of course, if it's not your style, feel free to skip it. No hard feelings. Now, let's begin the story. Winter had crept into town quietly, like a sneaky cat slipping through the window at midnight. The mornings were filled with mist, and even the walls of the house seemed to shiver with the chill. For most people, this meant extra sweaters, hot tea, and complaining about the temperature every 5 minutes. For me, however, it meant something far more important, making sure my cats were warm and comfortable. You see, while I was busy stacking up coats and scarves for myself, my furry companions had perfected the art of glaring at me with big round eyes that clearly said, "Excuse me, human, where's our winter palace?" So, I got to work. Out came the thick blankets, the oversized comforters, and even that ridiculous pink quilt my aunt had given me 3 years ago. I spread them all over the floor and sofa until my living room looked less like a house and more like a giant marshmallow fort. My cats watched this transformation with the seriousness of royal inspectors evaluating their future castle. Their tails flicked back and forth, their ears twitched, and when the final layer of blankets was laid out, they all pounced into their new kingdom as if I had just opened the gates to paradise. From that moment on, my living room wasn't mine anymore. It belonged to the cats, and honestly, I didn't mind. Watching them burrow into the fluffy mountain of blankets was like watching tiny emperors discovering their thrones. One cat curled up like a cinnamon roll, another stretched out dramatically as if posing for a winter fashion magazine, and yet another buried its head so deep into the covers that only its tail stuck out like a flag. If someone had walked in, they might have thought I was running a secret cat hotel. Of course, no kingdom exists without a bit of drama. Soon enough, disputes arose over the best spot on the blanket mountain. Apparently, in the feline world, the spot directly under the sunny window was the most valuable real estate. My eldest cat, clearly the self-proclaimed queen, marched over with all the grace of a diva and plopped herself right in the middle. The others circled around, tails flicking, clearly plotting a rebellion. At one point, 2 of them engaged in a silent staring contest to claim a corner of the quilt. You could cut the tension with a knife, or at least with a catnip toy. After 10 intense minutes, one of them finally blinked, which of course meant instant defeat. The winner strutted over, tail high, and claimed the spot with all the arrogance of a landlord collecting rent. I sat nearby, sipping tea, wondering why I even bothered with Netflix when live cat drama was far more entertaining. Then came the blanket burrow wars. One of my younger cats discovered that if she crawled under the layers, she could create her own secret cave. The others, fascinated, followed her example. Soon, the blankets resembled moving mountains, little bumps shifting and wiggling as hidden cats roamed underneath. Occasionally, a paw would pop out, slap another cat on the nose, and then disappear again. It was both hilarious and slightly terrifying, like watching a monster movie directed by kittens. Every night, when I tried to claim even a small corner of the blankets for myself, I was met with a collective glare that could freeze water. My cats had made it very clear, these blankets were theirs. I, the humble human, was merely allowed to sleep on the edge if I behaved properly. Sometimes I would wake up at 3 a.m. with no blanket at all, while all of them were bundled up together like furry dumplings, snoring happily. Betrayal had never felt so soft. Over time, I realized that these blanket battles and cuddle sessions weren't just about keeping warm. They were a reminder of how much joy simple things can bring. While the world outside complained about the bitter cold, inside my little home, there was laughter, warmth, and more than a little chaos. The cats didn't care about electricity bills, frozen streets, or endless weather forecasts. They only cared about being cozy, safe, and together. I began to notice how their habits affected me too. Watching them pile on top of one another, I learned the art of enjoying the present moment. They didn't stress about tomorrow's frost or yesterday's rain. They lived entirely in the now, fully committed to their naps and blanket battles. And slowly, I found myself following their example. Instead of grumbling about the cold, I started looking forward to it. Cold weather now meant fluffy blankets, steaming mugs of cocoa, and hours of free entertainment courtesy of my feline drama club. Sometimes, Friends would ask why I always seemed so cheerful during winter, while everyone else looked like they were preparing for hibernation. I would just smile and say, because I live in a kingdom of blankets guarded by tiny, furry royals. They would laugh, but I knew the truth. My cats had taught me that happiness doesn't come from big, complicated things. It comes from small comforts, shared warmth, and a little bit of silliness. Now, every time I spread out the blankets, I don't just see fabric and fluff. I see thrones, caves, battlefields, and stages. I see the world through the eyes of my cats, where every blanket is a new adventure, every nap is a treasure, and every cold day is just another excuse to cuddle. And honestly, I wouldn't trade that fluffy kingdom for anything in the world. In real life, the story of the cats and their blanket kingdom reminds us that comfort and happiness often come from the simplest things. Just like the cats who found joy in a pile of blankets, we too can learn to appreciate small pleasures in our daily lives instead of constantly chasing after bigger achievements or material possessions. Modern life often pushes us into cycles of stress, deadlines, and endless comparisons, but sometimes all we need is to slow down and find warmth in the ordinary. Creating a safe, cozy space, whether it's a corner of your room, a favorite chair, or a quiet evening with loved ones, can recharge our minds and help us face life's challenges with more balance. Another lesson is about sharing. The cats may fight for the best spot, but in the end, they find ways to snuggle together, reminding us that cooperation and companionship make tough times easier. In today's fast-paced world, we should remember to nurture our relationships and find joy in togetherness. After all, like the cats, we don't need perfection to be happy. Sometimes a soft blanket, a warm home, and the presence of those we love are more than enough.